Hi guys, it's me again, it's Shana. Welcome to week 5 of our Hearts and Flower Crochet Along. So last week you made those adorable little heart stitches. You have finished both your side patterns. I hope you enjoyed the week. This week is very exciting because now we are going to make the center of our blanket and we're working on just one panel. So we're going to start off this week with the beautiful center square. So we're making a large granny square this time. We're using all the stitches that you already know in maybe a slightly different way. We're using all the beautiful colors there and you're going to really enjoy this week. So have fun with that square. We're going to finish off the week with some lovely mindful granny stripes. With these granny stripes, we're going to use every single color in our yarn kit. It's a really beautiful, enjoyable week. So guys, just have fun, enjoy the process and be kind on yourself. We are now going to start making our large frilly flower square. So let's begin. So we're going to start with our biscuit coloured yarn. And we're going to start with a chain 4. Let's insert our hook. There we go. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to insert our hook into our very first chain space, which is here. And we're going to make that little circle again. Hopefully you're used to making that now from our previous flower squares. So I'm just going to pull that loop over and I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. On that chain 3 counts as our first triple stitch for this round. Now I'm going to make a triple stitch into the center of our circle. Remember, it's a little bit fiddly, so you just have to play with that hole. I've just made my first triple stitch. So now I've got 2 triple stitches. I've got my first chain 3 and my second triple stitch. Now we're going to make 10 more triple stitches into our circle. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, put up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. That's 3 triple stitches into my circle. So let's continue with our triple stitches until we have 12 triple stitches in our circle. So I shall see you in a little while. Right, I'm just making my last triple stitch into our circle. And I'm now going to join my round. Like I said before, you can either join into the top of that first chain 3 or into that little space between the chain 3 and the triple, which is what I like to do. There we go, so that's our first round done. So I'm just going to cut my yarn and fasten it off and secure my round. So there's our first, there's our centre, our first little circle. So now we're going to move on to the deep rose colour. You can insert your hook into any space between any set of triple stitches. So I'm going to insert my hook here. I'm going to yarn over, put up my loop, and I'm going to chain 3 to start my round. 1, 2, 3. That's my first, that chain 3 counts as my first triple. I'm going to do a triple stitch into the same space. So I've got my chain 3 there and 1 triple stitch. Now into the next space between the triples here, you're going to do 2 triple stitches. So that's 1 triple stitch, 2 triple stitches. And we're going to follow this pattern all the way around. In these spaces between the triple stitches, we're going to work 2 triple stitches until you get to the end of your round. Like so. 1 triple stitch, 2 triple stitches. So I will see you back here in a little while. Okay, so I've just finished my second round. You'll end your round the same way as we did before. You'll be slip stitching into that last to the top of that last chain free or into that space before, and fasten off, ready to add your new yarn. So let's add our new yarn. So we've got this lovely gilt colour here, and this time we're going to insert our hook into any space between the sets of 2 triples. So I'm going to insert my hook here. I'm going to pull up my yarn, and again we're going to start with a chain free, 1, 2, 3, which acts as your first triple stitch. Then we're going to do 2 triple stitches into that same space. So 1 triple stitch, 2 triple stitch. Along with my chain free, that counts as 3 triple stitches in that space. So now we're going to make 3 triple stitches into the next space between the sets of 2 triples. So 1, 2, 3. I have another set of 3 triples there. So we're going to continue this pattern round until you reach the end of your round. So I shall see you back here in a little while. Okay, so now we should have completed our 3rd round here. So we've got 3 triples in each section going round. So as before, make sure you slip stitch into the top of your chain free from the first stitch or into that space before. So now we're going to continue with this gilt yarn, but we're going to be working our first frill, our first petal round. So like the sunshine square, if you can remember, we're going to be working in the front loops of this round only. So I'm going to say that again, we're going to be working in the front loops of this round only, which are these little stitches here that you see. These are our front loops, and the ones behind are our back loops. We don't want to be working in these back loops at all. So let's begin. So we're going to start with a chain 2, 1, 2. And then in the next front loop stitch, we're going to do 4 triple stitches. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that front loop, and do 1, 2, 3, 4 triple stitches, like so, and that's our first little petal made. And now in the next front loop, we're going to do a slip stitch. So we're going to yarn, insert our hook, pull up a loop and pull that through. And then in the next front loop, again, we're going to do 4 triple stitches. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that next front loop and make 4 triple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to slip stitch into the next front loop. So hopefully you can see the pattern forming here. You're going to repeat this process around your circle until you get to the end of the round. So I will see you in a little while. Okay, so your finished round should look like this. Lovely little frilly flower. There we go, isn't that beautiful? So again, I hope you fastened off you can slip stitch into your last stitch and fasten off there. You should be an expert in that now. I love that word, expert. So now I'm just going to turn the work over because we want to look at those back loop stitches that we didn't work in that round. So look, if you see here, got a nice little circle of back loop stitches going all the way around. So let's turn our work back over. We're now going to grab our mauve yarn. We're going to find those back loop stitches. You can insert your hook into any stitch, any of those back loop stitches on this round. So I'm going to start here, and we will be working this round into these back loop stitches. So again, let's join our yarn, and we're going to start with a chain 3, which counts as our first triple stitch. 1, 2, 3. Now into the same stitch we're going to do 1 triple. So this round acts as an increase round, so we're going to increase our stitches. So we're going to basically work with 2 triple stitches in the first stitch, and the next stitch we're going to do 1 triple stitch. In the next stitch we're going to do 1 more triple stitch. And then in the next stitch 2 triple stitches. 1, 2 triple stitches. So if you can see what's happening here is we crochet 2 triple stitches in the same stitch, then we crochet 1 triple stitch into the next 2 stitches, and then we crochet 2 triple stitches into the next stitch. So now we're going to crochet 1 triple stitch into the next 2 stitches. Like so, and then 2 triple stitches into this stitch here. And we're going to repeat this pattern until the end of the round. If you're a little bit unsure, make sure you refer back to your written pattern, and I'll see you in a little while. Okay, so I'm just coming to the end of my round here, and I'm going to slip stitch into that space between, or you can slip stitch into the top of that very first chain free to finish this round. You're now going to continue with this yarn, and we're going to be working the same pattern as before, but again it's another increase round. So you're going to start with your chain free, which counts as a triple, and you're going to do another triple into that same space. So you've got 2 triples, the chain free and the triple counts as 2 triples in one space, and then in the next 3 spaces you're going to do 1 triple. So we're increasing this round like so. So in the next 3 spaces you're going to do 1 triple, and then in the next space you're going to do 2 triples. And in the next 3 spaces you're going to do 1 triple, and you're going to repeat this process all the way around. Don't forget to refer back to your written pattern if you get stuck at any time, or rewind the video. So I'll see you back at the end. Okay, so now you have finished that round. You should have something that looks like this. Okay, this is one I made earlier, so don't fasten off this round. You want to keep your mauve. You want to keep your mauve because we're going to be working in the mauve for this next round. So this time it's going to be exactly the same as we done here, working in the front loops with this gilt colour here. So I'm going to add my mauve yarn because this is one I've made earlier, but yours is still going to be connected to your hook. So you're going to start with your chain 2 in the front loops. We're working in the front loops again, not the back loops. So chain 2, 1, 2, and then in the next front loop you're going to do 5 triple crochets. So into this loop, this front loop here, we're going to do 5 triple crochets. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's 5 triple crochets into that first front loop. Into the next front loop you're going to do a slip stitch as of before, and the next front loop we're going to work 5 triple crochets again. Okay, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a slip stitch in the next front loop. And as you can see, the pattern's repeating itself You're going to follow these steps all the way around until you reach the end of your round, and you'll notice your little petals forming. So I'll see you back here in a little while. So I've skipped ahead here, as you can see. I've got my lovely mauve petals here. I've skipped ahead and I've also made my pink petals here. So I'm going to trust you, and you're going to refer back to your pattern to make the next rounds in the deep rose colour here. So again, we've got, like the mauve, we've got 2 rounds working in the circle. We've got the increased stitches, so the circle becomes larger. Refer back to your pattern to see how many stitches you need to do for the increased rounds. And then again, we're working in those front loops to make our little petals, not the back loops, the front loops. And this time you'll be making 6 triple crochet stitches into each front loop to make the petals in pink. So I will see you back here in a little while so we can start turning our flower into a square. Okay, so hopefully you should have finished round 10 and your flower should look something like mine. Don't worry if you're not quite there, keep rewinding back the video, referring back to your pattern until you're at the same stage as me. So now we need to start forming our square shape, and let's begin. So we are going to be working into those back loops. Let's turn this flower over so we can just look at those back loops again. So we've got a lovely circle, you can see your back loops here. So all these little loops, this is where we're going to be working our next stitches. And this is where we're going to be turning our round into a square. So again, find any back loop and insert your hook, like me. And we're going to start off with a chain 1. That chain 1 counts as your first double crochet stitch. And then you're going to do a double crochet stitch in the next 3 stitches, like so. We've got 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 double crochet stitches across those back loops there. Now we're going to work a half triple crochet stitch into the next 2 stitches. So we've got 1 half triple, 2 half triple. And now we're going to do 1 triple stitch into the next 4 stitches. So 1 triple stitch, 2 triple stitch, 3 triple stitch, and 4 triple stitch. So we're going from short stitches into slightly bigger stitches because this is how we're going to form our square shape. So now we're going to make the corner, the first corner for our square. So in the next stitch, we're going to do 1 triple, and a chain 2, 1, 2 chain, and followed by another triple in the same stitch. And now we're going to continue working one side of our square until we reach the next corner. So we're going to start with 1 triple in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to do a HTC, a half triple crochet, into the next 2 stitches. So 1 half triple and 2 half triple. And then in the next 8 stitches, we're going to do a DC, a double crochet stitch. So in the next 8 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There. 8 DC stitches, and now we're going to be working a half triple crochet stitch in the next 2 stitches. So 1 half triple, 2 half triple, and now we're going to be working 1 triple stitch into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one side. If I turn that over, you can see I've got a little square shape slightly forming. Don't worry if it's looking a bit wonky, because in the next rounds your square shape will start taking shape. So there we've got one side working there. We're going to form our next corner. So in the next stitch, we're going to do 1 triple, followed by a chain 2, followed by a triple stitch. Now you're going to work your next side, repeating the same pattern here. Refer to your written notes if you get stuck. Rewind the video back to watch me do it again, and I'll see you in a little while. Okay, so I have just made my 4th corner space with my 1 triple, my chain 2 and my 1 triple. Now when we began the round, starting our square, we didn't start off with a corner space like we have done with our previous squares. We've started in the middle of our first side. We now need to make these stitches to join here. So we've finished our last corner space. We've got a triple, chain 2 and a triple. Now we need to make 1 triple stitch into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we need to make a half triple into the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, and to finish our round we're going to do 1 DC into those last 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you are going to slip stitch into that chain 1 space to complete your round. Then we're just going to turn it over so the wrong side's facing us. We're just going to have a look at that shape we've made. So you can see it's sort of resembles a square. Might have a little curve to it, but don't worry. The next rounds, the square will get stronger in shape. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4 corners of chain 2. We turn that back over, you can see our little corners poking out here. Okay, now we're going to continue with the cream yarn, but I'm going to, just because I find it easier to keep track of my stitches, I'm going to cut my yarn. If you're confident enough, you can follow the written pattern and carry on. From here, you'll just be working in triple stitches to the next corner space. But I'm going to cut my yarn and then I'm going to reattach my yarn into any chain 2 corner space. We're now going to start the next round. So we're going to attach our yarn. We're going to chain 3, again, which acts as our first triple stitch, followed by a triple. And then we're going to chain 2, which makes our corner space, and another 2 triples into that same space. There we go, that's our first corner space made. And now in every stitch across this side bit here, we're going to make 1 triple until we reach the next corner space, and in that corner space we're going to do 2 triples, a chain 2 and 2 triples. So let's start together. So in that first stitch here, let's make a triple, and with our triple stitches we're just going to crochet across this first side of our square. So hopefully you've got the hang of this and you know what you're doing, and I'll see you back here in a little while. So this is where I've got to. We're just going to talk through this a little bit. So I've started here with my 2 triples, my chain 2 and my 2 triples, which is my first corner space, and I've crocheted 1 triple into every stitch until I reach my next corner space here. Again, I've got my 2 triples, my chain 2, my 2 triples in this corner space, working 1 triple into each space along this side until I reach my next corner space. Now, as you can see here, you can really see the square is taking shape. It's looking pretty good. So what you need to do now is repeat this process until you get to the end of the round, back up here and join with a slip stitch into your chain 3 beginning stitch or into the space between, and I'll see you back here in a little while. Okay, so you've now finished round 12 and we're moving on to round 13. I've done a bit here to show you. Row 13 is a repeat of round 12. You'll follow it around, making all your corners until you've come back with a large square here, ready to join round 14. We're now going to introduce a new stitch and a new colour. So we're going to introduce the cest yarn into that first corner space. So I'm going to start in this corner space here to show you. So if you grab your zesty yarn, attach your yarn into your first corner space. And again, we're going to start with a chain 3, 1, 2, 3, which counts as our first triple, and then another triple into that same space. Again, we're going to make our chain 2, which acts as our little corner space, and another 2 triples into that same space. Okay, so this is a slightly new stitch, but we're still working with triple stitches, but we're just spicing our square up a little bit. So what we're going to do here is along this side here, we're going to skip 2 triple stitches. So we're going to skip those first 2 triple stitches here, and in this space we're going to work 2 triple stitches with the zesty colour. So 1 triple, 2 triple, and then you're going to do the same again. You're going to skip 2 stitches and work 2 triples into that next space. And you're going to do the same all the way around your square, skipping those 2 stitches and working 2 triple stitches into that space. And in your corner spaces, you're going to continue with your 2 triples and your chain 2 and your 2 triples all around your square until you're back at the beginning. So I shall see you here in a little while. So now you should have a whole square of this round of lovely little V-stitch triples, as you can see forming here. I'm only showing you one side just for an example. We're now going to start the next round and we're going to introduce our cream yarn back into our square. And we're going to start again in a chain 2 space in the corners. So again, we're going to start with our chain 3, which counts as our first triple. followed by a triple and a chain 2 and 2 more triples in that same space. Now for this round, we're just going to, we call this the V stitch. We are just going to be working into the center of those 2 triples. So yarn over, insert your hook into the center of the first 2 triples, and you're going to work 2 triples into that stitch, like so. It's a really fun stitch, and you're just going to continue this pattern until you reach the next corner, like so. I'm just going to do a couple more so we can get a good look at this stitch. So what we're doing is we're working into the center of those 2 triples in the cess colour, and we're making 2 triples into that center piece, which is creating a lovely little V stitch. You can see it there. We've created this lovely little V stitch here with our cream yarn, and also on top there. So you can see the pattern taking shape. So you're going to continue this until you reach the next corner space. Now we're going to stop and just have one more look at these lovely little V stitches that we're making. There we go. So your stitches should be looking like this. So continue this until the next corner. In the corner we're working them the same way as we have done before. We're working 2 triples with a chain 2 and 2 triples into the next corner. So if you refer to your written pattern, and if you're stuck, don't forget to rewind the video and watch this over again. So I will see you when you've finished this round. Okay, so now that you have completed your V stitch rounds, which are these rounds here, you're going to continue making your square by yourself by referring back to the pattern. I'm just going to talk over what you've got left to do. So to complete the square, you have got 3 more rounds to finish. We've got 1 round in the gilt, 1 round in the deep rose, and 1 round in the cream. So now you'll be joining your gilt yarn into your first corner space. You'll be working the corner spaces like before with your 2 triples, your chain 2 and your 2 triples. And here we are working 1 triple into every stitch until you get to the next corner space, working the corner space the same as before and following that all the way around your square until you've finished. And then you're going to slip stitch to finish and fasten off the same as you've done before. And then you're going to be joining your deep rose yarn into your corner space, again working the corner space as the same as before. Here, if you refer to the pattern, you'll see that the pattern slightly changes, but we have done this stitch before. You're skipping the first 2 stitches and you're working in this next space here 3 triple crochet stitches, and then we're skipping 3 crochet stitches here in the gilt colour, and in this space we're working 3 triple crochet stitches. You're going to follow that pattern all the way down to the next corner space and around your square. Just make sure you keep referring back to your written pattern. And then in the cream we're doing exactly the same round as we've done here in the deep rose. Obviously the stitches increase each round, and that's how our square gets bigger. So keep referring back to your pattern to make sure your stitch count is the same as mine. Keep rewinding the video back as many times as you want, and hopefully your square at the end should look just like mine. So now we should all have a completed square like this. We're now going to add our granny stripes to our square. We're going to work granny stripes on both sides of our square. So we're going to work granny stripes on this side and granny stripes on this side. I'm just going to show you a small version of how to add the granny stripes in the first colour, but you are going to refer back to your pattern and the colour sequence to finish it off completely this last week. So I'm just going to turn my square this way. I'm going to add my oyster pink yarn. This is the colour that we're going to start with first. With our crochet hook, we're going to insert our hook into that first corner space here. Pick up our yarn, and again we're going to start with our chain 3, which acts as our first triple crochet stitch, and now we're going to triple into the same stitch. So we're going to start our first row of granny stripes with those 2 triples in that space. And now we're going to work 3 triples into each of these spaces, going across into the end of the row. So let's work 1, 2, 3. That's our first 3 triples there in that space. We're going to continue this across. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to show you one more time. 1, 2, 3. So you can see the pattern forming there. So we're going to continue this all the way across until we get to this space here. So I shall see you in a little while. So I'm just coming to the end of my first row with our granny stripe stitch. So I'm going to work 2 triple crochets into that last corner space here. 1 triple, 2 triple. Okay, so you will need to refer back to your written pattern for this. We're just doing continuous granny square stripes. Slightly different this time though, because when we get to the end of each row using our first colour, we're going to turn our work. So we're showing the back of our work, and we're going to be working into the back of our work now. So we're going to begin the second row again with a chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That counts as our first triple. And now we're going to be working into these spaces, our 3 triples, all the way across until the last stitch. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Into this space. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to continue this until we reach the end. I'll see you back here in a little while. So I'm just getting to the end of my row, just working my last 3 triple stitches into this space. Followed by 1 triple into the last stitch. Now I'm going to fasten off my yarn. Let's pull a tail free to secure it. We're going to turn over our work, and you can see your first 2 stripes of granny stripes there. You're now going to continue following your pattern on both sides of your square, and on both sides you should have 14 sets of different coloured stripes, and that will be your week 5 finished. So that is how we make our frilly granny square and our lovely granny stripes. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this week. Make sure you continue taking pictures of your progress. We love seeing them over on our Instagram and Facebook pages. You should have your 2 side panels and your centerpiece all ready for week 6, when we really start to see the blanket come together. So guys, I'm really excited to see you soon for our last week, week 6.